Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 26 of Talking Disney Magic, a show all about ranking and reviewing the biggest films in Disney and Pixar's catalog and talking about the biggest news in the House of Mouse, including Star Wars, Pixar, Marvel, and Disney. My name is Adam Bankhurst, and I'm here as always with the wonderful Vanessa. But this week is a little bit special because we're so excited to welcome travel planner and content creator with Marvelous Mouse Travels, Jeff Boman, to the show, our first guest and part of a big celebration of Talking Disney Magic because we're celebrating our 6 month anniversary and celebrating Goofy movie turning 30, which we're ranking reviewing today. So there is a lot going on. So I just want to start off with Jeff. How's it going? How does it feel to be the first guest of Talking Disney Magic?
I'm so stoked to be here. I get to talk my one of my favorite Disney films, a Goofy movie, and it really is a movie that means a lot to me, and was one of my absolute favorites as a kid and as an adult. It like hits in two different ways, which from kid to adult. So I'm stoked to talk about it.
Yeah, it really is kind of amazing watching it younger and then as a kid because I think we all have kids. Jeff, you have two
Yeah,
daughters, right?
yeah. I got two daughters, girl dad.
Yeah, I love it. So that's, I'm sure it hits so much different when you have kids. And, we want to get into the story of a Goofy movie, which we're ranking and reviewing today in honor of its 30th anniversary, which was on April 7th. And before we jump into the whole Jeff of it all, I want to see, Vanessa, how's it going with you? Because I always start with that, but it's a little different today. We're like shaking things up at Talking Disney Magic.
We are. I love a good shakeup. This is so exciting. In our outline, I had like in all caps. It's like a trifecta kind of day because it's our 6 month anniversary. Happy anniversary to us. We've been doing this for 6 months now, 26th episode.
Big
And
day.
we had our first guest today to celebrate a very special movie. So it's just like, what a day. What a day to be alive. What a day to be on Talking Disney Magic. I'm just so happy. It's so great.
It really is awesome. And yeah, once again, we're so thankful for Jeff coming aboard. And I kind of want to start this whole conversation with letting you tell a little bit about your story, Jeff. So, Jeff and I, we've been to a few Disney media events together. I think we first met at Tiana's Bayou Adventure in Disneyland, maybe. I think
Yeah,
that was
the
it.
that opening event in New Orleans Square. It was
Yeah, which was incredible.
incredible.
Oh my God, that was that was a night to remember for sure.
Yes.
And we got to go on the Disney Treasure together. So we're becoming old friends. I like it. So I'm happy to
Yeah.
finally get a chance to really talk to you. But I'd love to just know like who is Jeff Bowman? What's your story? Like we'd love to kind of hear about it.
Yeah, so I am Jeff. I'm originally from Utah. I moved to Florida a few years ago because my wife graduated school and got a job out here. It was kind of like move to Orlando or stay in Utah. And we have always loved the idea of being in the Orlando area. I love Disney. We're a big Disney family. So we live 30 minutes down the road from Disney. We go almost 2 to 3 times a week, just pop in, even if it's just for dinner at
Yeah,
Epcot or something like
why
that.
not?
And yeah, so I have two girls, two daughters. I'm a huge sports fan too. Video game nerd, which is what we have talked about in the
Yep.
like in
Shared our
line.
love
We
on
talked
that.
about a lot of that while we were waiting for Mardi Gras, Mickey and Minnie.
Yes.
Uh,
I
which
love they
those
had such great outfits.
if I could go back, I would have taken more bags of beignets and just stuffed my backpack with them. They were just sitting on a table and
Critical miss right
they
there.
were yeah, absolutely, because they were there for the taking and I just did not capitalize. Yeah, I'm a travel planner. I plan Disney, Universal, cruise and all-inclusive vacations at no cost. Everything's the same. The way that works is the vendor pays the commission and the commission's already built in to the cost of your vacation. So if you book on your own, you're missing out on the perk of using a travel agent. So,
Yeah, I think that's
uh,
what a lot of people don't realize is like when you think of travel agency, you're probably like, oh, well, I'm already spending so much on this vacation. Why do I have to spend even more for something I could do myself? But yeah, it's like it's no extra cost and you get to do so many more things and things you wouldn't even know you needed to know. So I mean, that's what I think I've really learned in the last couple of years, speaking to like a lot of people like Jeff, that like there's so many benefits to using a
yeah,
travel agent and really not that many negatives.
right. And if you don't like waking up at 6 a.m. to get your dining reservations, we'll do that for you.
That's a big
So
one.
That's a big
it
one,
is huge. Yeah, it's a little easier on the East Coast if you're going to Disneyland because that doesn't open till 9. But
Right.
helping with uh, dining reservations, giving you park information for your vacation. Like, we're always here. I get texts every day, like, where do I go? What do I do? What lightning lane should I pick? Like, I'm always available for clients to give information and advice, which is another huge perk. We're literally your personal concierge for your vacation.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, we went to Disney recently together, Adam and I, and it's really helpful. We've done it a lot and we're really savvy. But if you don't know a lot and you don't know
Exactly.
there's so many restaurants to choose from and so many, like, which days do we go to the parks, and do we do lightning lane or not? And there's just so many different things that you just don't know. And so if you're a first time, park goer, it's really helpful to have somebody like Jeff in your corner that can give you those recommendations or can help you to make better choices with the time you have, because the time is precious. You want to maximize. You're spending a lot of money, when you go, and how you do it really matters. And so someone like Jeff can really help you make that vacation really special versus just a nightmare, which a lot of them can turn into if you don't properly.
Yes, and I've heard the nightmare stories. They can get pretty wild. So, definitely having someone that knows, any travel agent is great. So I always recommend using a travel agent, even if it's not me. Like, it's I'm all about promoting that community.
That's great. And unfortunately, Jeff, we do have to give you a little test to let you continue on with this podcast, because we
Okay.
did get an email from Frank from New Mexico, who wrote into talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. Once again, that's talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. And they said, "Hey, Talking Disney Magic, first time writer, but I wanted to actually send this message to Jeff. My wife and I have twins that are about to turn 4, and we're deciding on when the right time is to go to Disney. I'd love to hear your perspective on that as a Disney planner. Also, I love the Goofy movie. Eye to Eye is a mainstay in our home and love the
Yes.
show." So
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, Jeff, if you want, I don't know if you have any perspective. I'm sure you probably get this question a lot. So just love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, well, I actually feel like I'm well qualified for this question because my daughter is 4 years old and
Oh my
she
God.
asks to go to the park all the time. So they will enjoy it. Obviously, you kind of have to plan, like, you have to plan like a few breaks in there for them to just calm down, because it is a lot of stimulation for the kids. And honestly, even if you think, well, they're not going to remember it, you will. These memories you make for your kids aren't just for them, they're for you too. So take the trip. I always say take the trip, enjoy it, because they're only little for so long.
Jeff, is there a time of year that's the best time to go, like in terms of crowds or in terms of pricing? Like, how would you, if somebody was, thinking about making the trip, what time of the year would you recommend going?
For Disneyland, I always recommend like mid-January, early February. That it seems to be like the secret sauce. I love September and that time to go because you get Halloween, you get a little bit lower of crowds, like mid to early September for both Disneyland and Disney World. Actually, I feel like summer is a great time to go as far as crowds, especially right now with all of the promotions that are going on for Disney World. It seems like those promotions are coming out because they want people to be there in the summer, and it seems like there is less crowds than normal in the summer since the pandemic. It things have just changed.
Go in the
But
summer, though, you got to be prepared for the heat
yes, you got to know where you can take cover from the heat and rain.
and rain.
Yeah, it gets rainy, so bring your ponchos, know where to park your stroller, where it's covered and stuff like that. I love My favorite time of year is that September time frame, especially you're doing Disney. If you're an adult traveling and going to Universal, Halloween Horror Nights in September is my favorite event
People
anywhere.
love that thing. I haven't been there yet, but like I don't
Come
think I hear
out,
more
bro.
nice things. I know I want to. I'm a little
Come
baby,
out.
but I hear
I
it's
no,
incredible.
it's honestly not like as scary as people think.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. I hear
it's
it's such
more
an
fun
incredible
than
experience.
anything. There's great food, drinks, like Halloween Horror Nights is a party, bro. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, and then I think it's kind of an interesting point to jump onto talking about Universal because, like you said, you don't just do Disney, you also do Universal stuff. And there's something big happening this year at Universal with the opening of a brand new theme park at Epic Universe, and you actually got to go to the media preview, so which is pretty good, pretty incredible.
Yeah, I got to go with and for Marvelous Mouse Travels, which is the agency I work for. I also manage their TikTok page. So this is like Disney level immersion at Universal. Like every world there is Harry Potter world type immersion. It's like it's incredible. Isle of Berk was my absolute favorite. I'm a huge How to Train Your
Oh
Dragon
yeah, we
fan.
are too, Jeff.
Or
We are
we.
too.
Yeah,
Or we.
meeting Toothless
Oh,
is I don't want to give any spoilers to like rides or
yeah,
shows or anything, but
of
meeting
course.
Toothless is life changing. It really is. Like it feels so real. Like I don't understand how they made it so incredibly real and immersive. It's gonna be worth the trip to go
Yeah.
to Epic Universe.
Yeah, it looks pretty incredible. I mean, that's such another benefit about once again working with a travel agent because like I'm with media, so I get invited to a lot of these events, but I met you there too, so there's like a whole other side of it. So they also you have such good insight into what to look out for and what to do, and I guess that's kind of another question. Like what are you telling people about Epic Universe planning their trip? Like, should you try to wait a few months? Is there still ways to get in now? Like, what's kind of your perspective as a travel planner for people looking to get into Epic Universe?
I think it's only going to get busier.
Yeah.
So, the sooner you can get there, I feel like the better. Obviously, that first week is already sold out.
Yeah.
Like May is going to be rough to go.
Right.
But as soon as you can get there because it's going to be something you're going to want to experience more than once and often. I will say with Ministry of Magic not having an express as of now and Donkey Kong not having express, you're gonna maybe want a second day. So the best way to do that would be if you want to do the other parks, get a 3 park day and then add a single day ticket to Epic or book a VIP tour. The VIP tours, you skip the regular lines completely, straight to the front. That's going to be your best way to experience everything. Now, I did a VIP tour and barely got to experience everything. There's just so much there
Yeah.
with the 2 shows and all of the rides and immersion that is available to you. VIP tour is highly recommended or 2 days.
Well, it might be worth it for your time, right? Like when you're thinking about adding a second day because you can't get to everything, like maybe that's a different way to do it instead of having to have 2 days in the parks. You can,
Yeah.
one
And
for
the park is I will say if you are going to do 2 days and have more time, make sure you bring shade sunscreen because that park has no shade.
Oh no.
It's
That's
brand new.
rough.
There's like no trees. The best place to get any shade is the Ministry because it is the Harry Potter area because the buildings are tall.
Hmm.
But I am still like barely recovering. I didn't have a hat. I got cooked, man.
It's only
It was
April.
yeah,
Uh,
that UVD index was up that day.
oh my gosh.
pro tip
Well,
for Adam, as
yeah.
we all think about what we're doing and how we're gonna get there, because we all want to go.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. And Jeff, just to kind of wrap up the epic talk, and then we're going to jump into the Goofy movie. What were like, so you said Toothless. Are there two other non-spoiler things that just kind of blew you away, or that you're just like, when you go there, you got to see this. This was just everything I wished it would be.
Yeah, so the queue for the Ministry is open for like walkthroughs, but the ride's not open for everybody. That ride, by the way, is incredible. Um, but the scale of everything in there is breathtaking and just astonishing. It's like 7 levels of floors of where living space,
Oh
honestly.
yeah.
It's huge. It looks just like a movie set.
Does it feel like
Which
Rise of the Resistance when you walk onto the Star Destroyer? Does it feel like that scale, like bigger, same size? Is it kind of,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It might even be a little bigger.
yeah.
It's but this is just the queue.
Right.
Like
Which is crazy.
you're which that queue, by the way, is built to hold a 7 hour wait.
Oh my gosh. That's
So
crazy.
another reason to do a VIP tour.
Yeah, right.
um, the other thing I would say is in Dark Universe, which I didn't get to ride Monsters Unchained because it went down while I was in the queue. Well, not in the queue, but getting the lockers.
That's one with all the
Um,
animatronics, right? Like all the Dracula and
yes,
Frankenstein and the monster and
yes.
stuff. Yeah.
Like it is Victoria Frankenstein. She creates her own Frankenstein monster, and she captures the all the other monsters and is holding them in the house, and they become unchained. So that in that area, there's a steakhouse, and a little Easter egg is if, and it's run by vampires. Okay, so a little Easter egg: if you ask for ketchup, they'll kind of look at you like, "Are you sure?" And then if you say yes, yes, I want ketchup, they'll kind of hand it to you like they're holding something disgusting or revolting because one of the ingredients in ketchup is garlic.
Oh,
So they,
well, that's fun.
as vampires, they
Oh, I
kind
love
of,
that.
it's very, everything's very immersive and fun. But that I don't want to spoil too much.
Yeah, of course.
And that is one of that was one of my favorite things that the VIP tour uh, gave to us as far as Easter eggs or something like that.
Well, that's awesome. But yeah, thank you so much, Jeff, for sharing that little sneak peek of Epic Universe, which opens May 22nd. So we'll obviously be covering that. I know we're a Disney show, but this is very, very close to our hearts, especially with all this stuff.
Yes.
But now, before we jump into a Goofy movie, I want to remind everyone that Talking Disney Magic goes live every Thursday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can check the show notes below to find timestamps so you can jump right to your favorite sections or like skip the preamble or any of that stuff. You could also check out our current rankings of all the films we've done, an upcoming schedule of what we have, an invite to our Discord, and anything else going on in the world of Talking Disney Magic. And once again, I do want to encourage people to send in an email to talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com to be part of the show. You can send in about the movie we're currently ranking and reviewing. You can send in about one we've already done, one we're not getting to in a while. We really kind of welcome everything. So it's really a wonderful thing. And we're so excited that we've reached 6 months, Vanessa, which is just kind of crazy.
Anniversary, Adam.
So and I think it's such a great time to talk about the Goofy movie that just turned 30. And actually, you kind of have Jeff to thank for this because I reached out to Jeff about, coming on the show because we've become friends with like all these events and stuff. And he was like, "Hey, if you want to move around and talk about Goofy movie, I would love to do it." So
Yeah.
we're really excited to get here. So once again, we kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but Jeff, like, why the Goofy movie? Why does it mean so much to you? I know you talked a little bit about it, but like, what else does this movie mean to you?
So yeah, this movie was just one that hits home both as a kid and an adult. I actually did not ever like own the movie, um, but one time I watched it at a friend's house. Like I used to get babysat by a good family friend all the time. We watched it one time and I instantly fell in love with it. Like every time I would go to their house, we're putting on that movie, we're watching it. I wanted to be Max when I was a kid. Like he was the coolest. I've always wanted a short sleeve hoodie, red one.
So
Max
iconic.
was the guy. But it's one that as far as the music, the comedy, the storytelling just lives on, and it holds up today. And I mentioned seeing it as a kid and seeing it as adult. There's like two different perspectives you get from watching this movie, and it really hits home. And it's one I continue to watch over and over again.
Yeah, it's definitely a special one. Vanessa, what's your history with the Goofy movie? I know you were super excited about this as well.
Oh, Frank, eye to eye, a mainstay. Yes, it lives rent free in my head. I said that when we were doing the introduction to this. Like, I literally just hear it and I just start like bopping
Oh,
around.
I mean,
So
it only gets more iconic as it goes on, I
it
feel
only
like.
gets, and So my son and I watched it together. So as everybody knows, I have two boys. So you have two girls, Jeff. I have two boys. So I'm a boy mom or girl dad. And my older son loves to watch the movies with me when he always asks me, what's for your podcast show? What are we watching for mommy's show this week? And we always watch it together. And this one we were listening to the music in the car and he's just like, this is so great. And I'm like, I know, right? And yeah, I just think, and I watched the documentary. So that was the other piece of this. So it was the 30th anniversary on April 7th. And as part of that, Disney released the Not Just a Goof documentary about it. There was so much like obvious love for this film, and the history behind it was really fun to watch and to see some of these uncovered and never before seen footage around the making of the movie. But the iconic piece that really stuck with me was, at the 20th anniversary, so this was 10 years ago, at D23, they had a panel and they put it in like a back room because they didn't know how popular it had become. And they had to turn away 1,000 people that wanted to go to that panel. It became the #1 panel that year. And so I think that it's just a real testament to how much at the time this movie was panned, right, by the critics, short theatrical release. Nobody really wanted to talk about it. I think because it was too on the nose and people liked the more fantastical movies and they didn't want to see themselves reflected in real time. And I think that as us millennials have become more nostalgic, loving the 90s, and you watch it back, you're just like, yes, this is my childhood, it feels like such a time capsule, for lack of a better word. We talk about that a lot on here, but I had the same experience watching it as a kid. I remember thinking like, Goofy, like, why can't you just let Max go with his girl, And then as an adult, I'm like, Max, he just wants to be with you.
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot of it had to do like the theatrical release. They talked about how it was released at the same time as like Bad Boys
Bad
Oh
Boys the
yeah.
same day.
and Tommy Boy. Like they're like
Yeah.
it was just bad timing for the Goofy movie to be in the theater because those two movies are great in itself. But if they would have like held it or put it before those, I think it would have had a little bit different of a story and different success for sure.
Which is
Well,
which
it was
is
supposed to be done before that, right? Because the pixel was missing and
Right.
So yeah, that
Yeah.
was one of the craziest things that like you
insane.
can maybe take for granted too. I mean, animation as itself is one of the hardest things you can do. But like this movie was planned, so it was released on April 7th, 1995, but it was supposed to be the big like Thanksgiving movie for Disney in 1994. But there was a single black dot, a little pixel that like just was in basically every scene of the film. Like they were basically finished with this movie, and they had to go back and redo like everything. And it's just
Every
like, can
single
you
scene,
imagine? Oh my God, I can't even.
every shot. Because a
Yeah,
burnt out light bulb. It was a burnt out pixel when they were, because I didn't know this about old school animation when they were originally coming out with it. They literally had to take a camera and take a shot
yeah.
by shot to computerize it. Wild. Also, can we just talk about how spectacular those dancers were
Oh
that
my
they
God, that was my
Oh
did
my
favorite part of
gosh.
that documentary.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Like
God.
unbelievable.
for them to make a shot for shot animation of the dancers, like it's so cool to see how they did that, like the grid on the ground to kind of say where they are in the for the animation, and then just it was so cool to watch that documentary and see the making of it.
Yeah, I mean, if I mean, we really encourage you to watch this documentary, but if you don't have time or you don't want to watch the whole thing, just like go check out that dancing part because it is like incredible. And they put
Is
the animation right next to the dancing, and it's literally one for one, and it's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable.
Well, and they
And
picked three
can
different dancers, right? Like, so there was like the power line guy, who's amazing, by the way. And then they were like, oh, this guy's gonna come in and be like Goofy, where he's gonna like do it a little bit more loose, like Goofy with the perfect cast. I mean, come
Yeah.
on,
Oh,
come
yeah,
on. And then they had the guy that was Max. Oh, it was just so great. It was so fun.
it was so perfect. Like that's exactly how I imagined. I actually made a post a few years ago. It was a remake of another creator's post, but it was like how the filming, how the making of Eye to Eye went in the studio, and they're like they did not expect it to be that big of a banger. Like it is absolutely one of the best fictional superstar singers ever. I want the whole album. I want a concert. I want
Power line.
everything. Tevin, come on, bro.
Seriously, come on, Tevin Coleman, make it happen.
Can we just talk about how he like what the way they picked him like was because wasn't he something like backup to Prince or something like that? Or he
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
and I think he only did it in like two goes. Like, come on, like you just listen to that soundtrack, you're like, wow, like this is just yeah, power line, hats off. We all want to go to your concert.
Yeah,
Yes.
they really like they were trying to there's like a huge Prince connection because obviously when the film was being developed, like there's obviously superstar and B artists. Like I mean, it was really inspired a lot by Michael Jackson, Bobby Brown, Prince, and like even some of the this other singers, like Rosie Gaines was one of the backup singers that was also part of the song. She was had another connection to Prince and stuff. And I mean, it's like you see so much of that, and it's like these guys are superstars. It's like incredible
Yeah.
what they've learned from, and they just captured that moment in time that obviously has transcended the 90s now, but it was just, I mean, what a get they got with this.
The other thing I thought was really interesting about this documentary, and I was going to mention this, and I was glad that they brought it up, was how big this movie is with the Black community. Like, there's this like subculture where they say that Max was like one of the first Black characters of Disney. And like when you watch it back and some of the language, I was gonna in our recap, I have some of the language called out. Like it feel like with the outfits and the music, it just had that cultural vibe. And I had not thought about that, but I was one of my friends mentioned it when I was visiting last week, and she was like, "Yeah, did you know this?" And so I started doing this like deep dive into it, and it's a huge thing. I had no
Yes.
idea. It's amazing.
There's actually a whole episode in Atlanta, the
Oh
TV
yeah,
series
that's
with
right.
Donald Glover, where it is he had made a fake documentary over it, and it's hilarious. I loved it. My friend Sean in Orlando actually showed it to me before we watched the actual documentary yesterday, and it's good. Like it's funny, it's and it holds a lot of like fun stuff about the actual movie and obviously comedy. And it really is something that is cultural for the Black community. And other people that have really brought that out is Dimitri, Straw Hat Goofy, and Cleo, who is the actor that played in Holes. He's Zero. Those three made the dance like super viral on TikTok and
Yeah.
really, I feel like, brought a resurgence of a Goofy movie. I love that that is something on social media that is really just nostalgic and makes me feel great. Like, I love whenever anyone does the perfect cast dance.
So
It's
great.
so good.
Yeah, it really is special, and it's just so funny to think how like this movie they even talk about in the documentary was like they thought it was going to be forgotten in a lot of times. They thought it was just going to be kind of thrown to the side because it originally was Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was in charge of Walt Disney Animation Studios, was kind of the one leading the charge on a lot of this movie, and he had like a pretty public fallout with Michael Eisner, who was the new head of Disney that came out like during development of this film. And it's even kind of said that Eisner kind of released this as like contractual obligations. Like this really wasn't, and they got less of a budget. They didn't have the main studio working on a lot. They outsourced it to like Disney studios around the world. And yeah, it didn't,
Yeah.
yeah, and it didn't have a great box office. Like it only earned about, I think, 37.5 million, which they said the entire run was the opening weekend of Pocahontas, which is kind of a crazy stat. And it's like you said, it's the home media like VHS was what kind of saved this movie and obviously led to everything we've talked about in the show so far. But it's like these behind the scenes stories are so fascinating. They're like a lot of this could have just never happened. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's nuts that I want them to release the Bill Farmer version where it's just
Yeah.
his normal
Oh my
voice.
God.
Well, they were gonna make it Steve Martin.
So yeah, so
Right. Like that's crazy to me that they took he watched it and was like he's too goofy. He's it's too much. Like he's too cartoony for a cartoon. And then they're like, what if we just had Steve Martin do it? And he's like, Steve Martin do it in a goofy voice? And he's like, no, Steve Martin
just
do it in his regular voice so they know who he is. And like, why? This is goofy.
it
Like
is so
everybody
crazy.
knows Goofy, but yeah, I would love to hear Bill Farmer's really I would love Disney to release the Bill Farmer version
That
and
would be
just watch
amazing.
that too. not going to be better than the original.
No way. But
But
but it's Vanessa, that actually comes through an email from Josie who wrote in that if you wanted to read that one, that would be awesome because kind of feeds into this part right now.
Yeah, Josie, it's so good to hear from you again. And you say a Goofy movie. I know. I have to wait 1 million years for Treasure Planet. We're sorry. It's literally like our last one.
Yeah, Jeff, Josie wrote in and was like, I can't wait till you guys rank review Treasure Planet. It's literally our last film on the schedule. We're like, we're so
well,
sorry.
I've got a friend that would love to be on the show for that one
Oh, there
because
you go.
he
Maybe
is
there's an anniversary coming up. We can pull it forward
Yeah,
for
yeah,
there you go.
he is one of the biggest Treasure Planet stands, and he would be able to talk for days about it.
I
So he
love
would
it.
be
Josie, you have
bibbity
a buddy.
bibbity bobbity beard. Cole would, I guarantee, love to come on and talk about it.
That's awesome.
Well, there you go, Josie. Now you have a fellow person you can follow for your Treasure Planet requirements in the meantime.
That's so great. I
We love
love
the
it.
Treasure Planet. But this helps. This helps. We're glad it helps because it's helping my soul today too. So I love this movie and I just watched it again for the first time in about 10 years and it hit just as hard. By the way, did you know Steve Martin almost voiced Goofy?
We do.
Wild. I found that out a few years ago and it kind of lives rent free in my head. Yeah, I hear that. And this
Yeah,
is a certified A for me. Can't wait to hear where it falls for you.
I couldn't believe that.
Wild.
That whole part made I like Jeffrey Katzenberg, but
What an idea.
Yeah.
is he the and the animation around it? Like I was like, he's Bradley Uppercrust the second. Like if you've seen an extremely goofy
Yes.
movie, he looked just like Bradley Uppercrust's
Yes,
dad or
definitely.
grandpa in that, and like I almost hated him because of all that went down with this movie, just because I how much I love a goofy movie.
Yeah, and it's interesting
Well,
because Jeffrey Katzenberg, he was kind of very vocal and very not afraid to like speak his mind. Like when I was doing my retrospective on Lion King, like he was the one who's like, Lion King's not going to do anything. No one's going to watch it. It's like whatever. Like Pocahontas is going to be the big one. Like nobody cares about it. And he makes a lot of these very big decisions. And actually, but he makes a lot of like he made a lot of good decisions too.
He
And it's
did,
interesting
yeah,
because a lot of people when they speak about Jeffrey Katzenberg is like a lot of times his solutions may be crazy, but it's more that it's not ready yet. It's not at that like greatness that we want it to be. So even if some of the times he speaks things and you're like, what are you saying? It's more about it's just we're not quite there yet. And it's funny because we actually have him to thank a lot for what the Goofy movie is because they
right,
talked about that Jeffrey Katzenberg, he kind of was going through a struggle with his teenage daughter when this was happening, and he was kind of the one who suggested its main storyline. So Jen Magan from who was Goof's troop story supervisor said she remembers when he said, I couldn't figure out how to get through to her, but we ended up taking a car trip together. Somewhere along the way, we bonded. I want a story like that. So even like that little like life story that was meant for him kind of shaped this whole movie. So it's like once again,
yeah,
so interesting to see one decision he made. Like, what are you thinking here? But another one is like, hey, that's the whole movie.
yeah. No, that's incredible. That just one little life event for him inspired pretty much the entire movie, like the entire storyline of that movie. And that's what brings it really to life is and why it's so relatable, um, especially now for an adult. I just it's nuts that it can be a kids movie and then hit so hard for an adult too. And that's what Disney does so well.
Oh yeah, yeah. They know how to get right to the heart of it, and I think
Yes.
we're all in a similar situation. We have younger kids, but we all kind of are anticipating those teenage years and maybe fearing them a little bit because when they go through a teenage thing, they go through all this big stuff. But this movie, hopefully, like just touches to the heart on both sides, which is just so deft and so incredible. And one of the thing that really kind of, I mean, obviously the movie means so much to me, but the line that really kind of hit me is when Goofy is kind of talking, or Max is like, I'm living my own life now. Like I have my own life. And he just says, I know, I just wanted to be a part of it. And it's like, no matter how big you get, you'll always be my son. And it's just like, are you kidding me, Goofy? And that was one of the other kind of really big goals of this movie was to turn Goofy into more of a three-dimensional character and like give it the heart, and which was another kind of Katzenberg kind of like idea was that he doesn't want, like, when they originally pitched the film, it was a lot of gags and laughing, but they're like, no, we need this to be more. We need this to have heart. And here we are, all these years later.
Yeah, when they were going over that part in the documentary, I lost it. Like I
Yes.
just remember like growing up, and I kind of put myself in like Max's shoes here. My dad was always there. Like he was my basketball coach, and he was my scout leader, and he was like a church leader as well. And then once I got to about where Max's age was, I kind of didn't want anything to do with my parents. I kind of wanted to just do my own thing, but he was always there and being kind of like the supporting hand. So I have that really like really hit for me, and I just want to thank my dad while we're here and thank him for being such a good dude, like good dad, and uh, a lot of he just it's emotional, man.
The best kind of movies bring that out in us. I mean, that's what's so special about this. It's like it's like a crazy movie about these crazy dog-like characters and like
Yeah,
crazy ideas, but like it's that's what makes these Disney movies so special. And why, you always hear people say, "Oh, well, why do you love Disney so much, or why do you like all these things?" It's like because it's not so much about what's on the screen. It's what it means to you. It's what it brings, what you bring to the table. And I mean, couldn't have said it better than you said it there, Jeff. And I feel the same way about my dad and mom and parents, and it's and as so many people do, which is why the Goofy movie has transcended, I think, a rocky beginning. So yeah, so that was I think that's a great point maybe to maybe jump into the recap because I don't think we can say anything better than what Jeff just said. So I think it's a great time to do that. But yeah, Jeff, we appreciate you sharing that. It's very special. So
And
yeah,
right before we jump in, watch the documentary if you have time. It's definitely worth it. Watch it before or after you watch the movie, but it adds so much context, and they had like so much unrecovered footage where that had never seen the light of day before. That'd been just like in a box
yeah,
in the garage.
and the remastered animation. Can we get a remastered animation version of the Goofy movie?
yeah,
Because
really.
the animation that they were using to show the Goofy movie was so clean and so clear. Like, let's get a 30th anniversary remastered version. That would be
Putting it out to the
awesome.
universe.
Yes, Disney, if you're listening,
Yeah. You
Everybody
should
get
be
that
if you're
Cinderella
not.
treatment.
you've got it. Just
Mhm.
give it to us.
Make it happen.
All right, so with that, we'll jump into our recap. And so Jeff, as we go through, if you have, we'll pause and we'll talk about certain points. But if you have anything you want to add in as we go or that I missed, make sure that you call it out. So Max, the movie opens with Max, who's dreaming of a romantic moment with his crush Roxanne, but it quickly turns into a nightmare as he slowly transforms into his dad. He wakes up late for the last day of school and has to rush out after an embarrassing encounter with Goofy, who accidentally wrecks Max's beloved power line cutout.
I
Oh,
want that power line cutout, by the way.
right?
I want it so bad.
I know they've released so many like so much Goofy movie merch, and I feel like there's an untapped like treasure mine of stuff that is still
Well,
waiting to be released.
I feel like they haven't released enough.
Yeah.
Like they just barely released a whole line of Goofy movie merch in on Shop Disney and on and in Disneyland. But I have been going to Disney World and Disney Springs looking for the merch, trying to get that long sleeve t-shirt they released and the Powerline Max plush that they released. All I've been able to find is the Magic Band. And I don't want to order it off of Shop Disney because I get a discount if
Uh,
it's at Disney World. So
right.
bring the merch to Disney World,
I
please.
know. Come on, make it happen. Come on.
So at the last day of school assembly, Max, EJ, who's Pete's son, and Bobby Zemurowski hijacked the AV equipment for Max to perform Powerline's hit "Stand Out" in front of the crowd. We got to shout out loud, right? You know?
Yeah.
I feel like some people forget there's like two incredible songs in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Because
Well,
Stand Out is just as amazing.
like so we were moving and we had a moving van just down the street, like literally less than a quarter mile. And my daughter wanted to just drive through the neighborhood in the moving van with me, and she's like, "Can I be Max?"
Oh my
And she
God.
just like put her hand on the window, and she would like put on the open road, and she would sing it with me, and
Smile.
it was so much fun. It's like I am doing it right.
What is better than that right there?
Right.
So he's trying to sing the hit Stand Out in order to impress Roxanne. He becomes an instant celebrity for his bold choice, and he ultimately gets his wish, which is a date with Roxanne to go to Stacy's end of year party bash, where they are planning to watch Powerline live on pay-per-view. For young listeners, this is when you used to have to pay to watch things on TV at a national level. I mean, sometimes it still exists in like the wrestling world, but like
Yeah.
we don't have pay per view anymore, but that was a thing at a time. At the time.
Yeah, it's crazy that it's just so everything's so accessible nowadays. Like
Oh yeah.
back then with pay-per-view, it's that I didn't even think about that. The only thing that comes to mind is wrestling or UFC. That's like pay-per-view events. It's nuts.
Can we shout out Principal Mazer here trying to bring out the science slumber parties?
Oh
Science slumber parties.
So
Or those Star Trek nerds in the crowd that are like, Stacy,
yes, I love that.
talk to me, baby.
That was so funny. There's like
Which
there's so many little like pop culture call outs in this movie. Like not even just Disney. Like I said, the whole Star Trek of it all. I was like, oh my God, what? That's hilarious.
which by the way, the actor that voices that nerd is Rufio in Hook
Oh
or
really?
Zuko in Avatar.
Oh,
Yeah.
Donnie
That's
Brasco, right? Is that his
Rufio.
name? Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know that until last night. One of my friends who is a very like a Disney historian, okay, Dapper Danielle, she
Oh yeah.
said that's Rufio. And I was like, oh really? That's I did not know that.
uh
That is awesome. I love that. Or
um
Dante Bosco, that's his name. Yeah, that's it. Such a great voice actor. Oh my God, in character. He's incredible.
uh
Yes.
this auditorium scene just brought me back to high school, like with the big events and you sit in the auditorium and everything happens. Like I can't imagine how awesome it would have been to have Max like flying in to do this like at a high school assembly back in the day, like
Right. Well,
instant classic
and
celebrity.
the reason why they had all that set up is because the school was doing Peter Pan. If you look at like the background of the sets and everything, they were doing the Peter Pan play, and that's why he was flying around.
So crazy. So meanwhile, Goofy is working at a photo studio in the mall. For those of you that don't know, malls are places that you used to go to get photos taken.
Yeah, he was working at like J.C. Penney or
Yeah,
Yes,
something.
definitely.
the photo studio for sure. And he gets a call from Principal Mazer that paints Max's stunt as borderline criminal. So this is some of the language, dress
It's
like
so
a
good.
gang member, break into a riotous frenzy, and you need to evaluate your choices before he ends up in the electric chair. Wow, that escalated fast.
So very quickly.
So fast, like 0 to like 5,000.
Yeah.
Like one call.
And also just like I mean, it's he's played by the incredible Wallace Shawn, whose like voice is just so iconic,
Right.
and you've heard him and have heard him for forever, and it's just oh my God, so perfect.
Yeah, like whenever I hear his voice, I instantly think of The Princess Bride.
Yeah, that too. Yes.
Right.
Oh, best one of the best movies of all time. Let's put a pin in that movie.
Right.
So worried that Max is heading down the wrong path with Pete whispering things into his ear. Unhelpful
Yeah, thanks a lot,
parenting
Pete.
tips by
Unbelievable.
Pete. Terrible.
Who is Jim Cummings?
Yes.
Right.
Voice of Winnie the Pooh and everything, and obviously
And everyone.
yeah,
He's the
everyone.
voice. I have no idea how he has so many voices.
It's
Such a
unbelievable.
range. But worried Max is heading down the wrong path, Goofy decides to take him on a road trip, just like his dad used to take him. They get back to the house. Goofy's already packed the van. This made me laugh where he was like, "Oh, who you taking on your road trip?" And he's like, "My best buddy." And he goes, "Donald Duck."
Donald
Yeah,
Duck.
that was great. Such good writing.
There's so many like hidden Mickeys in this. Like it's just like so great.
And a literal hidden Mickey when they're driving down the road.
Yes, literally.
Mickey and Donald hitchhiking. So good.
Yeah.
Yes. They start this road trip, and before they leave, Max says he has to go tell Roxanne that he has to cancel on their big date, and panics when he sees that Roxanne starts talking about going with someone else,
Oh,
and
God.
decides that he's going to lie and claim that Goofy knows Powerline, and they're going to be on this main stage in LA at this concert. That's why they're leaving on this road trip. And of course, he tries to be like, "Hey, keep this between us," but of course, she doesn't.
You can't. And kudos to Max. Like, what a gentleman like move to like say, wait, stop. Like, a lot of people would have just ghosted, you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
good for Max stopping at Roxanne's on the way out.
Definitely. And obviously, we got introduced to Roxanne's dad, who's a hilarious character who doesn't really have any words, but just is so
He just
imposing.
growls.
Yes.
So sweet when she's like, "Daddy," like it makes me like,
And he
oh,
like turns and like pats her head.
Yes. And he comes back later in like the hairnet and the towel and stuff. Oh my God,
Yeah.
it's so good. But yeah, but I think this is so interesting that I think really makes this movie kind of really a special examination of like people and especially teenagers and other things because Max has these like giant plans. He wants to become popular. Nobody likes him. He wants to get this big date and do all this stuff. But like Roxanne already likes him. Like it's like there's so
Right.
much of that Max is so unsure of himself and down on himself, but we see Roxanne like already showing interest in him and he's not as much of a loser as he thinks he is. So there's like so much of this where Max is his worst enemy, which I think is a really interesting angle. And this it kind of really feeds into this later movie once we really get the Goofy and Max of it all. But it's like so many of these problems would have just been solved with a conversation. It's like
Right.
I wish, first of all, I wish Goofy would have maybe give Max a little more warning for the trip instead of just taking him right when they got home. And like if Max would have talked a bit more to Roxanne about certain things, like we talk about this a lot in a lot of these other Disney movies. It's like, and movies in general, it's like if people would just talk more, so many of the world's problems would just be not a thing.
Communication is key.
Mhm.
It really, really
Well,
is.
and in this scenario, it's a wow for Roxanne, right? Like, Powerline, but the reality is they're just going to fish, you know?
Yeah.
Lake Destiny, Idaho.
Yeah, right. And one of the things where I highlighted in my notes where it's like goodbye hopes, goodbye dreams.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Max,
Goodbye, Roxanne.
So dramatic.
so dramatic. But also like I feel that in my teenage heart.
Oh yeah,
Right.
because that mean
That's
everything
how it
means so
felt.
much to you. Like that's the time when things just mean the world to you, even if it's the littlest things ever.
Right.
Well, and I say a lot in general, like perspective is such a function of your experience. And when COVID was happening and all the kids were like struggling so much because they were going to miss prom or they were going to miss all these big events and it was the end of the world and everybody was kind of down on the teenagers, like it's not the end of the world. It kind of was because in their minds and from their perspective and like their experiences are so narrow. Like when you're young, you only can compare to what you have experienced. And so it is the end of your world because it's these things that you were looking forward to and you don't have as much perspective to be able to say, oh, like I have all these other things to look forward to because you haven't had the life experience to know that these things come and go and you can kind of ebb and flow. And so for Max, this is the end of his world, right? Like he's finally popular, he's finally got the girl, and now it's getting ripped away from him. And so in his perspective, like that's the end of the world, but it's not. But as a teenager, it is, right? And so kind of coming at it from that lens of like, they don't have enough experience to be able to have a different perspective on it.
Very well said.
So the trip gets off to a rocky start. Possum Park. Can we talk about that?
What's better than Possum Park? Come on.
Lesser's Possum Park. It's just that's a good tip of the hat for the Country Bear Jamboree.
Yeah,
Yes.
really.
That's what it's supposed to be,
With all those animatronics and everything breaking and doing stuff. It's like oh my God, it's so great.
Well, and the setup of the possum, like the wooden possums too, it's exactly how the Country Bears is.
Exactly.
Love it.
Also, can we talk about how they played 20 questions and the answer was Walt Disney?
They used that twice. I know that plus I just think it's funny that Disney allowed like Mickey and Donald to be hitchhikers on the side of the highway. It was just like
Right.
so funny, especially after you get the Donald call out and you're like, okay, that's where they're gonna get, and then but no, they're literally just like on the side of the road. That cracked me up.
Yeah, so it starts
So
off rough. There's the Possum Park stuff. There's Bigfoot, which he
Yeah, I
gets
forgot about that. That was like, wait, what? Bigfoot's in this
his
movie?
little
he's
BG jams.
so great. And Goofy, like the whole time, he's trying so hard, but he doesn't see that he's not connecting, right? And he wants so hard for that connection, but he just can't find it. And so as they're in the car with Bigfoot, Max decides that he's just gonna change the route on the trip because he's not allowed to touch the map. So he's gonna change the route to make it go to LA instead of to Idaho. But the next morning, after all this, challenging piece of how things have been going, Goofy decides to change his tactics, and he's decided that he's going to let Max navigate, and he's going to let go of control a little bit and give Max a little bit of space to show who he's become. And this brings them closer together and allows for them to just have this amazing trip together. And like that montage of
Oh,
all the it was just like
what's
So
better than
much
a good
fun.
montage?
It's so good. And just backtracking a little bit, I want to talk about the part where Goofy finally breaks through and gives like Max a little perspective. They talk about it a little bit on the documentary with the Hi Dad soup,
Oh yeah,
where they're
yeah,
just
that got
sitting
me.
there in the car
Little
with
cigarette heater.
Sasquatch sitting on the sleeping on top of the car with underwear on his head, and
good.
Goofy pops open the Hi Dad soup with his teeth and is heating it up with the cigarette lighter, and that's when Max realizes that he did a lot with his dad because his dad taught him how to open the can of soup. And Goofy reminds him that he used to write out things in the Hi Dad soup, and one of the things was Hi Dad. Or they kind of go back and forth with silly things like I pledge allegiance, and then Goofy finally goes, or I love you, and they kind of both like wait, and that's when it clicks. And then so Goofy kind of rolls over as Max is finishing up his soup, and Max hands it back to him, and it says, "Hi, Dad." And that is,
It's a breakthrough. I think we get so caught up, I think, in our own lives, especially when you're in high school and when you're a parent, like what do we say, always say, Vanessa? Like the minutes are long or what? It's like days are,
The days are long, but the years are short.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like you
yeah,
get so caught up in your everyday. And I feel like, especially as parents, you look up and 2 weeks are gone or a month is gone and everything, and you forget about that stuff. And then once you get a chance, I think why this road trip was so important because it gives you a chance to just like slow down and remember these good things and not worry about the dates and the big schools and the tests and the things and taking care of kids and working jobs and stuff. And I think that's what's so special about being able to have that time one on one because it allows for moments to them to reconnect. And I mean, that's how these special moments happen when you just take a chance to realize what you have and because it's easy to kind of take it for granted sometimes.
yeah, and that's a moment that really hits completely different
Yeah.
as
Oh yeah.
a father or a mother. Like it's cinematic masterpiece.
Mhm.
Like just that small
Yep.
uh 30-second tidbit right there. I
Yep.
love that part.
I was sitting on the couch with Henry, and we were watching together, and I was like, I was like, you crying, crying, mom, and I was like, because it's so emotional, because
Yeah.
Max is trying to be with his dad, and Henry's just like, okay,
Sure, mom. Cool.
like,
It just doesn't hit the same as a kid. Like that's one of the deep things that Disney does so well that we talked about earlier. It's the understanding that Disney has of the adults and why it's
Mhm.
important to make family content um for both children and the adult to enjoy. It's the
and
Disney
so many
difference.
sobbing emotions. So many sobbing emotions
Yes.
in my notes. Like, so good. I mean, they just have so many like high points and like emotional beats. Like I feel like they just masterfully did that in this film. So even as they are having their montage and they're moving and they're having so much fun and it's more, activities geared towards Max, but like Goofy's really leaning in and trying really hard. Max, you can tell that he's becoming more and more like guilty, more and more anxious as they arrive to the junction. It's literally like the junction on the sign, the junction in their relationship, right? And so they run into Pete again, who keeps offering unsolicited poor parenting by
Yeah,
Pete. I mean, it
terrible.
needs to be like a podcast, poor
Father of
parenting
the year.
a la Pete,
I
right?
wrote in my notes, Father of the Year, Pete, right there. He's so
And
great.
one of my favorite scenes, we're way past this point, but I just realized this.
All
One of my
good.
favorite scenes is when PJ is dancing and cleaning the inside of
Yes.
the
Oh,
Oh,
trailer,
yes.
and he's doing it's just singing "Stand Out" and having a good time, and Max unplugs the thing, and they're so excited to see each other, and he's like, "But you ain't got the moves." He's like, "You can keep the moves." I that whole their friendship is awesome, and I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that. Him and they come closer with Bobby later down the road.
yeah. I think too in that scene, that is another instance of the poor parenting by Pete, right? Just totally different styles. Where in that scene, I think the line I had it bolded in my notes was like under the thumb,
Yep.
like he's like never end up in the gutter.
Under the thumb.
Always
Right?
keep him under control.
But see,
And Pete overhears Max and PJ talking in the motel,
Yeah.
which by the way, I have always wanted to try that pizza. That
Oh,
cheese
yes.
ball
Oh, my God.
on
Yes.
that is incredible.
Have they
I
ever done that at Disney World? Have they ever like tried to recreate that? I wonder. It's like,
Not
I
that
feel
I
like,
know of.
I
I've
feel like
never
that. Oh
had
my God.
great pizza at Disney World.
It's true. It's true.
and
It's
that
very true.
scene with the water beds and
Oh
the
yeah, the waterbed
There's
was so
various
fish in
good.
the
signs.
waterbed.
Uh-huh.
Like
It's like an
how does
aquarium.
that even work?
So
How
many
do you feed
questions.
the fish?
Yeah. So yeah, Pete overhears Max, and PJ, and they're talking, and so he goes and again they ran into Pete, and then Goofy's talking about how great it's been going, and you can just tell Pete takes a little bit of like he has like the Schadenfreude a little bit, like you can't be happy for someone else's joy, and just wants to like be like, you sure you can trust your kid, and being
Yeah.
really mean about it,
Yeah.
and Pete was just like he's a bad kid, and Goofy was just like, I trust my son, and I want to trust him. But, Pete puts this in his mind that, he's a bad kid. He changed the route on the map. Like, and Goofy's like, I'm not going to check because I trust Max. Obviously, he finds out that the map's been changed. And so they're both like, you can tell how disappointed he is and how Max is kind of like, what's happening? Why is our dynamic changing? I thought
Mhm.
things were good. And like, you can feel the tension coming back in again with the communication, right?
And
It'll
let's
all be
be
solved.
honest, Max, through everything they've been going through, Max probably forgot he really changed the map until PJ brought it up.
Yeah.
Like as a teenager or a kid, like you forget you do stupid stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah,
And,
right.
and then when it arises again, then that's when you become sorry for doing it. Like, and you're like, oh crap, I shouldn't have done
What
that.
have I
Like, and
done?
then it's too far gone at that
Yeah.
point.
Because you can't really fully comprehend the ramifications of what's happening. And
Right.
your brain
Like
kind of moves it on. It's like, okay.
exactly.
It's very one-minded. It's very, oh yeah, we're gonna get it to LA, but well, there's so many other things that go into this decision, buddy. Sorry, but it's not, it's life is not that
Not going
easy,
to be that
unfortunately.
easy. Yeah. Well, and that's how it happens is so they're now have this tense thing and the junction is literally ahead. It's up ahead. And then you can tell like it just is this big thing about the indicator of how he feels. Like you can tell both of them have this like tension inside that they're managing of like which way are we going to go, right? Like they both don't know and they both are being pulled in these different directions, and Max, like you can tell he has this turmoil around the decision, ultimately says LA, and so they go to the left, and Goofy's disappointed and distraught, and they get out and of the car and they pull over, and Goofy can't hear anybody because he's so mad, and then Max says some mean things. I was like, you ruin everything. Like I was just like, oh, the heck's no. No. And then Goofy was mean back, and they had this whole conversation. Well, then the car obviously rolls away. They, go down this cliff and end up in the river. And
I never wanted to go on this stupid vacation. Splat.
oh, so good. And all their stuff's falling out over the road, and now they're in the water and they're screaming at each other. It's just like, but they end up in this position, and I feel like this is always what happens when you hit rock bottom. Like, you have nothing left to lose. Like, they're literally just sitting on this raft. Like, they've lost all of their belongings,
literally everything, and it's just them. It's just them.
Like, they're just floating down. They got nowhere else they could be, like, except with each other. And I feel like that's usually when you communicate. Sometimes the best is when you can be vulnerable. And so they finally have this conversation. Max confesses the truth, and they sing that song. But the line here, yeah, this is what you brought up earlier, Adam, where it was like, I know you have your own life, and I just wanted to be a part of it. Like, that's what I was like.
Oh yeah.
Like, I just
the next breakthrough.
Yeah.
Like,
and they sang the song together, nobody else but you. Like, they're singing together, and it's just like, oh boy.
And this is also, when we get the second call out of the perfect cast. I think we mentioned it a little bit before, but that's kind of how, Max saves Goofy in the end from the big waterfall, the big thing. And it's like, it's such a big moment. And, it's actually funny because, well, it's not funny, but Bill Farmer, like the voice of Goofy, kind of talked about that scene basically, and he kind of hit to the point of why, once again, this movie is so special for people. And because and so he says when the film finally finished, he took his then 5-year-old son to an early screening of an unfinished version, and he said as we left he was crying a little bit, and I said, "What's the matter, buddy? Don't you like the movie?" "Oh, yuck." He didn't say that part. I included that. And he said when Goofy was going over the waterfall, I thought that was you. And like, obviously with Bill Farmer, it is him. But like, I think what he's saying is like, it could be any father. It's like, going over the waterfall, losing the connection, but being able to save it. I mean, it's like that scene is just so perfect of saying everything, because it's like against all odds, like they come through in the end, and their bond brings them back together and does stuff. And I thought that line was just like, oh my God, it hits right to the heart.
And the next part of that is Max actually was paying attention to what, like, when Goofy did the perfect cast.
Exactly, 100%.
Which caused the whole Sasquatch situation, right?
Right.
Max actually was listening to his dad. He just didn't show it then. And that when he uses the perfect cast to save Goofy, you just see Goofy coming up out of the waterfall mist, and his eyes are just, he's the happiest dude in his life. Like, when that resonates with the parents finally, like when your kid does something that you've taught them, and it's just that's one of the best feelings as a parent.
They're listening, they're making it happen.
Right.
They're growing, and they're becoming a person.
Growing. Like,
you don't, right? You don't think
right.
And they did.
They did it. You're so proud, and that is the best feeling in the world. And they showed that so good in the animation and the feeling that they give in that small scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other line here that I thought was really important with that, in that same vein, was like, you're really growing up, and I slowly missed it. Like, as a like, wow, like, I'm like, oh.
It's like, calm down, people. Like, why are you making us hurt so much in this movie? Oh my God, it's too real.
And that's why it's such a good movie. Like,
for sure.
It really hits every time.
Yeah.
Well, and all of this happens, and Goofy is able to forgive Max, right? And they forgive him, and he insists that they find their way into this concert. They are going, right? And Max is just like, I don't know if I believe you. And Goofy's like, we'll figure it out. Like, I'll figure it out, right? And I feel like we've all had those moments as parents. We're like, yeah, you're really gonna do that? And we're like, yeah, we'll figure it out. So they decide, yeah, they're gonna go. And I love how they intersperse the concert with the viewing party at Stacy's house at Stacy's.
Yes.
Um,
They hide in the instrument
Control
equipment.
station.
Yes.
I know I have a lot of questions of the logistics of this plan and how it plays
Yes.
out, but you know what? We don't have to worry about that too
It
much.
seemed like Goofy's a lot taller than a guitar.
Yes, I would think so.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, Jeff.
Exactly. I was hoping you'd say that, Vanessa, because that's exactly this scene to a T. It's like, don't worry about
Yes.
the why, just enjoy how incredible this whole
I
thing is.
can totally believe a bass drum Max fitting in there.
Yes.
But Goofy, like, I guess if you like crossed, like the way he crossed his legs under him and all that, and maybe he's a contortionist.
Yeah, you never know. Goofy is a man of many talents.
So this is the beginning of the wild final act where they sneak into the power line show and they do end up on stage. Goofy ends up first. And his perfect cast
I love
becomes
that. Do the perfect cast.
and Max becomes a school legend. But let's back up to talk a little bit more about this entire part of it, because I love like I said, the interspersion of the movie or the pay-per-view group that's watching it. Like she's Roxanne's like, are they gonna be there? And Stacy's like, of course, like a good girlfriend would. And then you can see her face where she's obviously like, I'm not actually sure about this, but like,
and Bobby's back there. Bobby's back there. That Goof kid's not there.
Yeah, the writer, but like Stacy's a great ride or die to your face. Like she's just like, he's gonna be there, even though she's like, I don't know. But like, let's just hold out hope, right? I just thought that was so great.
Another little Easter egg in this whole scene. When Goofy opens the door to a dressing room, he opens the door to the lady that sings like the I do.
Yeah,
And so Goofy, one of my friends, Juju, made a TikTok about this. He's Straw Hat Goofy. In the open road, the song, there's a couple driving down the road, and it's just a week of rest and relaxation. Yeah, and that's her.
With her husband in the front, in the front, and driving is her husband too.
Yes, and if you look on the mirror of her dressing room, it's him. There's a picture of him on the it's literally her in the open road, like they were going to the concert, like they were
on the
going to the same place. Like I had no idea, and I just like I was today years old when I found that out.
It's all about those little things that make it so special. I love it. I
Right.
love those things when they think so much about it.
The Disney difference.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it like the way that he slid in and how it was very similar to how he did it at the school assembly, right? Like with the TV going out and him just falling in. Like again, let's suspend disbelief that somebody would just be like, yeah, come and dance with me on stage.
Right.
Before, but like it works in this. It works.
Yes. Yes, and and Powerline's just looking at him like, why are you both on stage right now? Like, what's going on? And then Max starts doing the iconic dance, and it is one of the best scenes in all of Disney, I think.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is incredible.
Well, and then like I said, they're all doing the dance at the party, and it's just like this, like they're going back and forth. And I loved in the documentary, we talked a little bit about the dance scene where they showed like the squares on the floor and how they were going to do it, and the choreographer was Powerline. Props to the choreographer.
Oh my God, everybody in this involved in this, unbelievable.
They also did that for the characters at the party because they needed to be able to see how they could do the movements, and so they did it for both sets.
Yeah,
like, that is so fun. Like it's so cool. Oh.
So good. Like they did the background dancers, they did everyone, and it is like Adam said, shot for shot, the video and the animation is perfect.
It's incredible. It's just incredible.
I loved that process.
Yeah. I can completely understand why cosplaying Powerline is so popular. Like,
oh yeah,
completely understand that.
Especially in the TikTok era that we're living in. It's like, what better? Come on.
Yes. We want Powerline. Like that's what we want more Powerline.
We want the world tour. The real
yes.
thing. Well, they
So
are doing a big tour this summer. The Goofy movie 30th anniversary is doing a big tour this summer. There's a bunch of cities. It's I can't remember where it's posted, but it ends here in Orlando, I think in August.
Oh,
So
nice. Yeah,
right
it's coming to
before the
Cleveland near me. I was
destination.
thinking about it.
I'm
on a
gonna do. I once it goes on sale, I'm buying the tickets for Orlando for
That'll
maybe
be
sure.
I can
fun.
road trip out and we could go
Yeah,
together.
there you go.
Come
I
on
like it.
out.
We'll meet Jeff in Orlando and do it. That would be, how great would that be? Oh my gosh.
Well,
So
I think it's right before Destination D23.
Oh, well, there you
So
go.
so
Perfect.
if you're trying to come down for D23, it's not the big one, but
maybe I'll get the invite, Disney, if you're listening. We want
Yes,
to.
she's cool people. I promise. You won't regret it.
They make it back home, which, by the way, in that decrepit, waterlogged vehicle,
Oh, I
how in
know.
God's name they made it back? Like, again, the facts in the way of a good story. We're just suspending disbelief on that.
Yes, this whole
they have
ending
really
is just
good
don't think
repair
about it too
people in
much.
California.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though, like, it's obvious, like, it barely made it. No doors, like, how they didn't get pulled over or, like, arrested. Like, I will not know. Right? I
All
guess
the way back to like at least where it looks like they live is like Virginia, right? Like
Something,
yeah,
yeah.
like cross country. Wild. So I really also want to, so we get back and props to Max for apologizing and for owning that he lied. It would have been so easy for
Oh
him
yeah.
to just be like, oh
Love
yeah, we
this.
knew Powerline and just like
right.
lived into the sunset. And instead he took accountability for himself. And I think this really shows Max's growth
Mhm.
over this because instead of being like trying to explain himself and be accountable and ending up lying in the beginning, he's like, I could just take the win for this. And instead, I'm going to like put myself out there and be vulnerable and say, like, I liked you and I didn't want to miss this opportunity. Right. That just to me was just spoke volumes about how much this road trip really changed him, like from where he was to
Absolutely.
where he is.
Like he always had the good intentions, but he kind of was a kid, right? He grew up on that road trip, and
Oh yeah.
that like he stopped and said that he's leaving on the road trip, so he can't make the date. But then he lied, and then grew up, and it like you said speaks volumes to his character that he and the parenting from Goofy over that road trip and that time frame.
Yeah, because I mean, so many people tell the truth when they get caught. So, having him do it when
Yeah,
he did it. He did what he said he was
and
going
he
to do.
didn't get
Some other,
caught.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And
He
that's,
literally, like Vanessa said, could have just got away with
yep,
it.
Take
exactly.
Like
the win, take the W.
he he pulled it off, but he still told the truth, and that is a big thing. A lot of people still wouldn't do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
it's
that's,
easier, right? I think it's
Yeah,
easier to stick with the lie. And I think when you tell a lie enough times, it becomes the truth, right?
right.
And so he could have just continued to tell that lie until it became the truth. And instead, he's like, no, like that's not the person I want to be, right? Like I don't want to be that person. I want to be, an honest and truthful, and I don't want my relationship to be based on this lie that I told, all right? And I just think it just shows a lot about his character as a human, I say human being, but a human dog, I guess.
Yeah.
it is what
Whatever
we want it to
animal
be.
they are, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
Um, and this was another thing where, Roxanne forgives him, but she so we didn't talk about this originally, but Max runs into Roxanne before the big school assembly and he laughs and he's so mortified about his laugh because it's like his dad. And it
Mhm.
comes full circle here because Roxanne was like, I really liked you from the first
Yeah.
time I heard you laugh. And I was just like, oh,
This whole thing
yes.
could have been avoided if you just talked. That's what it comes back
Exactly.
to.
Right.
Yep.
And I think sometimes we have these things that we're embarrassed about or we think are not good about us, but they're the things that people find endearing or that people are like, well, that makes you you, and that's why we like you. And I think that sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle a little bit where people feel so judged or about something that they worry about. And it's like that's what makes you special, right?
Yeah.
And that's what makes Max special and like his dad, who's great.
I want to know what happened to Roxanne. She kind of just doesn't exist anymore.
Oh yeah,
Like
really.
she wasn't in Extremely Goofy movie. She
Oh
just
really? Oh, I didn't even realize
no.
that. Interesting.
Yeah, she was just
Love,
her.
I guess.
her story ends. Maybe she moved. Maybe something happened.
First
She was,
love, grow
yeah.
apart. But the movie ends with Max's dad literally crashing into the moment after the car explodes.
That was great. That was such a great. I was like,
He
oh my god, it was
comes
violent.
crashing through the awning. Oh,
Violence.
Shantae.
Yes.
And Max is like, this is my dad. And that's how the movie ends. It closes out like where before he would have been like, I don't know this man, like move away as fast as you possibly.
Right.
Instead, here he like owns it. He's like, this is my dad, he's pretty cool. So I thought that was a really beautiful way to like show again the arc of like where we started when Goofy's in his like turban and Max is like horrified and can't get away from him fast enough and literally has a nightmare about becoming his dad, to like accepting that his dad is who he is and he's this imperfect person, as we all are, but he's going to love him anyway and be proud of the fact that that's his dad. And I just thought that was a really nice way to kind of close the arc of the story.
Yeah, and the fades into the sun, and then it goes black, and Eye to Eye starts playing, and everybody gets off the couch and starts dancing. If that's not how you ended the Goofy movie, you did it wrong.
Correct.
Only way. There are some, one of my friends I was visiting last week, I was in Boston, my friend Katie, she was like, oh, they have a song, they have an Eye to Eye like rock version too that you can listen to.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Great. It's great.
Yes. It's by Magnolia Park.
Yes.
Disney came out with that whole.
It's like a whole album of songs like that. Some of them are really good.
Which I'm going to see Simple Plan at Epcot this weekend.
Oh, nice.
And they're on that album too.
Oh, that's awesome.
So anybody that's not listening to that should be. It's I can't remember what the album is called, but it's basically like
a whole new sound.
That's it.
Yes.
It's rock versions of all of the classic Disney songs, all different artists. Fantastic, really fun listen. So check it out.
Yeah, there's really big names on that, like Simple Plan, Plain White Tees, We the Kings. There's a lot of good like old 2000s pop punk bands that I listened to. I love that album.
So yeah, and that's basically, and that's the Goofy movie, which was such a fun journey to talk through. And it's one of those films that like you just talk to and you realize so much more about why it's so special.
Yeah.
Like you're watching it, but then when you get some incredible people like you two to talk about what it means, and especially as parents, it's pretty amazing. And before we get into ranking the film, I did want to bring in one last quote from the director, Kevin Lima, who said like what he credits the movie's like emotional heft and why it was so special is because I think at the core of anything that lasts is something that's truthful. At some point or another, we all feel this way about our parents. We want to disconnect with our parents, only to realize years later that they were okay. They were doing their best. They loved me. And it's just like, it's so perfect. Like once again, maybe you don't realize it. You're so focused on everything else, but it's like years later, it's like you reconnect. And that's why the bond between parent and child is so incredible. Even though there's bumps in on the roads, it's with friends, it's with anything. It's like they're there for you for everything. Even though if you can't see it, no matter what, you're becoming a part of them and taking what they learned. And it's so special to when a movie can really kind of tap into that. And I think that kind of really gets to the point of what it is. It's like no matter what happens, how we disconnect, it's like you realize, oh yeah, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Unless you're Henry, who this morning was talking to me and he goes, well, when I'm an adult, you won't be my parent anymore.
Oh my God. Ouch.
Like, no,
that's one of those things. That's one of those things where they just don't know.
Yes.
No, Henry, I will always be your parent. What?
Does he think you just become a friend? Did he have any follow-ups, or was he just like, no, that is what it is?
Like Grandma Chuckles and Grumpy are my parents, and he's just like, they're my grandparents. And I was like, yes, because they are my parents. And like you could just see like I exploded his mind about
trying to figure out the whole thing.
That is incredible.
That's
I love
awesome.
Oh, Henry. Well, it's a funny note to end on because I think it's now time to rank this film. So here at Disney Magic, we rank all the biggest films in Disney and Pixar's catalog, and we give them on a tier list of S, A, B, C, D, and F. As it stands right now, Lion King is leading the way at S. Moana is right behind it, and then Luca, Cinderella, and Snow White. At A, we have Bambi, Elemental, Strange World, Saludos Amigos, another goofy one, and Encanto. At B, we have Raya and the Last Dragon, Turning Red, Lightyear, Inside Out 2, and Fantasia. At C, we have Moana 2, Wish, Dumbo, Pinocchio, the live action Snow White, Mufasa, Fun and Fancy Free. And at D, all by its lonesome, we have the Three Caballeros. So before we jump into ranking, I'm just kind of curious, Jeff, what do you think of our list so far?
It's pretty good.
You have notes.
So maybe I need to watch Strange World again.
Yes, this was a big
But
surprising one for us.
that is very high in my opinion.
That's what we kind of
Because
thought running into it too. But I don't know if it's different when you talk about the films more and also watching the film a
yeah,
second time with the perspective of what the film's actually trying to say and what is taking place. Yeah, we were kind of surprised by that too. That was
I'm
definitely one of the
that's
more
that's
surprising ones.
surprising for me. Um, that there was one that just was kind of odd.
Yeah,
That movie was kind of odd for me, but I feel like it does have a lot of the same overtones as the
yeah,
Goofy movie.
it
As
really
far as
does.
like the family and all that. But I'll have to give it another try and let you know.
Because that's what's so
But
Yeah.
interesting. That's what's so interesting about doing this show is like you see a movie, but then you dive deep. Like we've found a lot of times the story of the movies is like so much better than even what's on the like on display. And you can kind of really
yeah,
dig deeper into that when you kind of go beat by beat. And you're like, wait a minute, they were doing something here. They were cooking here a little bit. It's like it's very
yeah, and
interesting
you
to
don't
like do that.
realize a
Yeah.
lot. Like you sometimes you do have to do that deep dive to understand and get the movie. So
Yeah.
I'll,
Sometimes
I'll
it's
give
the detriment. Like with the Three Caballeros, the more we talk, the more we did not like it, right? Like
yeah
sometimes the more we talk about it, we're like, oh man, like this just did not work. And sometimes it's like the more we talk about it, the more we realize how much we love it. So it really varies dramatically.
yeah. The Caballeros just it doesn't age as well
No, it
as
does not.
like when it came out, it was probably great. People loved it,
Oh yeah.
but nowadays it doesn't hold.
And some scenes in
Unlike a
Dumbo and
Goofy movie.
Pinocchio. Yeah, unlike the Goofy movie. Unlike Dumbo and like Dumbo and Pinocchio, when we watch those movies again, we're like, what is going on?
What is happening?
Right.
So bad.
There's yeah, the 40s and 50s were wild, man.
Yeah, it really was.
We
But
haven't gotten to like the next set of the 50s, right? Like we're just about to be like, Lady and the Tramp and what else is upcoming? Peter Pan, a bunch of those
Sleeping
are coming
Beauty, a
up
bunch
soon.
of other stuff.
Sleeping
Yeah.
Beauty, yeah. So the 50s, I feel like kind of like had hits, and then it kind of goes to the dark period, right? Where,
Yeah.
60s and 70s, some of the 70s stuff, but like, it's gonna be interesting as we continue on our journey here.
It will.
Yeah.
It definitely will. But for now, we have to kind of find a place for Goofy movies. So I'll ask Jeff, would you like to kick us off with where you would place it, or do you want us to go first? I'll leave it up to you.
My personal, I'll go first since I'm the guest here.
And we're so
Um,
grateful,
Of
Jeff. You've been
course.
awesome. Let me tell you.
Lead the
I
This
way.
is Jeff's.
appreciate
Isn't
you
this
guys
your
having
first
me.
podcast, by the way? Didn't you say you
Ever,
haven't done this before?
ever. I've
You've
never
been
done a
great, man. I'm
podcast
not just saying
before.
that. You've added something really special to this episode. We really appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so much.
having me. Thank you. I've had a lot of fun. Um, uh, so Goofy movie for me is one of my top is it's my top three. Third is Toy Story, the original Toy Story. Then it's a Goofy movie, and then it's Lion King. Like those are the three Disney movies that it, were my childhood. So Goofy movies right up there for me. I can watch it every day, all day.
If you're not watching on YouTube, if you're listening, Jeff has on a cool Goofy movie shirt, and he's got the merch in the back. So like he's not lying. He's really repping.
Yeah, I've got the new Goofy movie Loungefly on the way.
Nice.
And the Powerline Max Funko Pop, which I think I'm gonna make into. Have you seen those people changing like the Funko Pops and putting them on the Toonies?
Oh no, I
Mm-mm.
don't think I've seen that.
So you can actually take the Toonie, the Magic Toonies, and upload your own media to it. So if you boil one of the Magic Toonies and take out the chip, You can plug it into a computer and upload files. I think I'm going to do that and take the Max's head off
Oh my
of the
gosh.
Funko Pop
I
and
love
make
this.
it a toonie for my daughter and have it play like eye to eye and like maybe find like a file of like a story of the Goofy movie and put it on there too. And I think I'm going to put it on there. There's someone on TikTok that goes on every day and is like, "Hi Disney Plus, we're here just asking you to put the Disney sing-alongs on. Thanks." And I think she's on like day 75. Her name's Lala, and she's made the owl from the Disney sing-alongs with the Tonys. Tonys is what it is,
Oh,
not
yeah, yeah.
Toonies.
Gotcha.
So that I got the idea to do a Powerline Max from her.
I like this idea. You're gonna have to keep us updated. That sounds pretty awesome. I
Yes.
want a play-by-play breakdown of all this. This sounds like a Frankenstein experiment. I like come to life. I
Yeah, well,
like it.
she has breakdowns on her page. Like she does
Oh, nice.
she actually I think she takes orders for the Disney Mr. Owl sing along guy. What and makes magic Tonys for people.
Nice.
So
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll be curious. I can't wait to see you do that. I'm excited for the video that comes out of that for sure. It's gonna be fun.
yeah, I think I need to buy one to keep in the box and one to make a Tony though.
Yeah, that seems fair. That seems fair. That seems legit. So, but before we get to that, we do have to say, so would you be giving it an S or an A?
Oh, S absolutely.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Like it's right there with Lion King for
I
me.
figured. I figured. Very good. Yeah, and then so Vanessa, I think maybe I'll go next. I think
Yeah,
yeah.
do
So
it.
well, so yeah. So yeah, this movie hasn't meant as much to me over the years because I haven't like seen it in a million times, a million years. But watching it again, I think was really special. And I think there's like I said, there's some weird like logistical things, like certain things that you kind of have to get by that I think may have not aged quite as well. But I think the meaning and the message and like the moments and like this clever writing and the little things make it so special. And I really do think that probably the most special part about this movie though is this show, this episode, because hearing Jeff's story and hearing Vanessa's and like talking about the meanings and like that really I think is gonna be what sticks about this movie for me for forever because it's like so special to hear what these movies mean to people and stuff like that. And I think if I had to like wrap that all in one big pile, I would probably like rank this film pretty high. I don't know if I'm gonna give it an S for the movie itself, but if I had to kind of put this movie in my personal ranking, right now I'm kind of in the middle of Elemental and Strange World at A. I think it's a really good movie and I had a lot of fun watching it. I think like I said there were certain things that like it was a bit short. There were certain things that were kind of cut over and glossed over and certain things that like if you look at more of a critical eye maybe you're like, "Eh," but overall what this movie means and how special it is really earns it an A for me.
Yeah, like where did Bigfoot go?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how did they get out of that situation? Like, where did they just
He must have
go
got
away?
bored and walked away. I don't know.
I don't know. He's snoring away like a baby on the top of the car the last time we see him. How did they get all their stuff back together? Like, yeah, how does that happen? How does Pete randomly just keep showing up where they are? Does he have a tracker?
He probably does. I wouldn't put it past Pete,
Yeah, I
especially with
wouldn't
all
put
his
it
high
past
tech
Pete.
stuff.
Yeah.
Wouldn't put it past him. By the way, that RV in the 90s, like top tier.
Oh yeah,
The
bowling alley on
bowling
top. Are you
alley.
kidding me? Come on.
Suspending disbelief again, because like bowling alleys in an RV, like probably not, but like
And the
cool.
pool that pops out
Oh
from it
yeah,
too.
right.
There's a whole pool. But it's top tier animation and cartoony,
Oh
which
yeah,
is why I'm so dumbfounded that Jeff, whatever his last name is, wanted
Jeffrey
to.
Katzenberg.
Yeah, I can't. I'm awful with names, but I can't believe he thought Bill Farmer's voice was too
I know that is
cartoony
so
with
crazy.
for a crazy cartoony movie.
That really
Like,
is the craziest, one of the craziest stories I've heard so far of these Disney things. Like that was your idea? What?
right.
But yeah, I think the Goofy movie, it's a testament to like some of those things that make you question it. Like it doesn't really detract to the films, like some of the flaws of these other movies that Vanessa and I have talked about or like over these weeks. I think it really is special and just means so much, especially. And I love those movies that like have so much more meaning when different times you watch it through your life and mean more than what's on the screen. And this just kind of hits it out of the park. So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of where I'm at. And so Vanessa, I'm curious where you fall on this line.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this last night, like thinking about the ones we haven't asked. I think those storylines typically when we're trying to like put the categories around them, like they don't really have like they're kind of flawless in their own way. Like there's not anything that's like left hanging and they kind of do the show not tell and they're very well like put together storylines and like
Or they
complete and
change cinema.
perfect.
Like, oh my God, some of these
Right?
movies. Whoa.
Yeah, and or yeah, with Snow White, like they had some problematic things if you were really critically looking at
Yeah.
the storyline or whatever. But like from a, you can't really overstate the importance of Cinderella and Snow White to Disney overall, and Lion King too as part of like the Disney Renaissance, and Luca just as a story. Again, you're suspending a lot of disbelief, but that storyline is just real perfection. And I think Adam, to your point, like there were definitely some things that were left hanging as things were going through. If we're thinking about the story overall, the emotional beats, though, wow, they really got me. And so I think for me, I'm at an A because I think it doesn't quite rise to Snow White level. Because I was like, can I put it below Snow White at an S? But I think that it's really an A. I feel like I could be persuaded to put it above Elemental. I could be persuaded to put it below where you had it below Elemental, but I think it was better than Strange World in my opinion. And just the iconic nature and the subculture and the amount of love for this movie.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I feel like that to me just says it all about how important it is. And so I think it's definitely an A. But where like above or below Elemental, I could go either way.
Well, I think honestly, I think for what it means, I think for bringing Jeff into it, because I think he is worthy of this conversation and of the ranking and stuff. And I think of everything we talked about and the impact it has, I think I'm comfortable with putting it in front of Elemental. I think that's a fair point taken into consideration. Jeff's S and the meaning and where you're going. I think that seems like a really good place for what this because with these rankings, Jeff, too, like, obviously a lot goes into this, but this ranking really is about
Right.
what it means to us and our hearts and different things and how they connect. And I think taking all that into account, I'm happy with putting that above Elemental as second place in our A.
Yeah.
Right on. I think I think that's a fair ranking too, because it just it obviously isn't the greatest movie ever made, or even the greatest movie Disney ever made, but it's one that you have to connect personally
Yeah.
to really like love. And I just am thankful that y'all have had me here to talk Goofy movie, and this
So
I
fun.
can't imagine
it's
a better
been a
guest,
lot of
honestly. Like,
fun.
this is perfect, man. So yeah,
It
so
was a
that
lot of
yeah, Jeff, yeah, it means so much that you helped us kind of get another A into our list. So as it stands, Bambi, Goofy, Elemental, Strange World, Saludos Amigos, and Encanto are our new A's, and that's set in stone. And it's all thanks to Jeff for making this such a special appearance. Hopefully the first of many, because Jeff, like I said, you're an old pro at this, man. You you did such a great job.
Toy
and
Story's coming up, our Toy Story extravaganza.
I am a big Toy Story stan. Like I said, it is third on my list. The original
Oh, Toy
was
Story
it's
3 is on
just
the
yeah, I mean, don't sleep on Toy Story 2. There's a lot of
There's a lot to
Yeah.
love in that movie too. Yeah, for
well,
sure.
there's a lot of things that are not there's a lot of fan theories out there that I'll let you guys look up
Oh
and
yeah. It's
and see
fun.
what you think.
It's fun.
You can dig deep into that, like who you can find like fan theories on who Andy's dad was and how he obtained Woody and all that, and like why Woody is so special. Like Toy Story is one of those movies that one of the first movies I remember watching,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah. It's so
and
special.
it
Perfect
just is
trilogy. There's not many of them. It's a perfect
right.
trilogy.
Yes, I love Toy Story.
That's why we're
So
dedicating a whole month to it coming up, I
Whole
think in
month in
June, is it?
June.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Get
it's the 15-year anniversary
15th of
of
Toy
Toy
Story
Story
3.
3. So that's
that's
pretty
crazy.
Then
wild to me.
30th of Toy Story and yeah, later this year.
Yeah,
So
later this year. So big year for Toy Story.
Yeah, that's crazy to me because I remember going to see Toy Story 3 um my senior year of high school. So I was like growing
Time
up.
to go. Oh yeah.
I was growing up with Andy,
Oh yeah,
and
right,
he was about to
right.
go to college, and I was like, wow, my childhood's over.
I know we grew up in a good time, guys. Like it's all these things
Such a
hit
good
so.
time.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
I wouldn't have wanted to grow up any other time, I don't
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
I wouldn't mind being an adult at a different time.
yeah. That's true.
You know, fair,
Valid
fair
points.
point. Fair point. Adulting is hard right now.
But I do agree that the 90s were amazing.
90s,
They're
early 2000s. Yeah.
like some of the best times to be a
Great
kid.
to be a kid. Yeah.
And one of those big reasons was a Goofy movie, and I think that is just a perfect note to end on. And once again, Jeff, yeah, you're welcome anytime to the show. We really appreciate it. And before we kind of wrap things up, where can people keep in touch with you? And how can they get some travel agent action going with you, man? Come on, give us all the details.
Yeah, I'm everywhere at Jeff Bowman underscore MMT. No W in the last name Bowman, by the way. That's whenever there's any issues finding me, it's because you put a W in my last name.
Gotcha.
Uh, but I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I have a link if you're interested in quotes for travel,
Do
right
it.
in my bios. Uh, and I will get you quotes as soon as I can. Like I said, free travel planning. And even if you don't, I'm always cool to have I'm trying to build a community of fun people and interactive people. So let's be friends. If you see me in the parks, I'm there 2 to 3 times a week. Say hi. Um, I know I have like when I'm walking and in the sun, I have this face where I look mean. I'm really not. I just it's
And
just
confirm.
Yes, we can confirm. We
the
can
the
attest to
the
this.
face looks like I'm mad all the time when I'm out in the sun, and it's
Resting
just
angry
because I'm kind
face.
of like scrunching. But
Yeah, I gotta cover
but
your eyes.
like as soon as you say hi, it'll go like this, and I'll say, "What's up? How are you?" So, if you see me in the park, say hi. We take a picture. I'll share it, and I love meeting new people, and thankful for the opportunity to come on here and meet you, Vanessa, and talk you with Adam, and
Yes.
talk the Goofy movie.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I look forward to many more adventures together, Jeff. It's going to be fun. So, yeah, and with that note, I do want to remind everyone that Talking Disney Magic goes live at 6 a.m. every Thursday. And if you want to be a part of the show, you can send an email to talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. Once again, that's talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. You can check the show notes below for timestamps, our current rankings of all the films, our upcoming schedule, an invite to our Discord, and anything else going on in the world of Talking Disney Magic. But your homework for this week is to go back in time and watch 1948's Melody Time, because we're going back to the past to talk about this classic cartoon that was during a rough time for Disney during the wars and recovering from the war and stuff. It's another interesting one that we're looking forward to talk to that I've never seen, so it's going
Never
to be
seen it.
something interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Is
until
that sorry, is that the one where Mr. Owl actually originated from?
that's a good
Where they
question.
where they pulled in the sing along. Do you guys remember the opening for the Disney sing along songs
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah,
with
you're
Mr.
right.
Owl? Like they pulled that clip from Melody Time and made the
Oh,
whole "Come on and sing along with the friends and Disney songs," and like that's that's one of my I love that
Oh, that's
little
awesome.
Mr. Owl. And they changed the whole like rewind and changed the animation and reused it for uh the title scene for the Disney sing-alongs.
Interesting. Well, now we have something even more to look forward to. So thanks for that, Jeff. That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've that like unlocked a memory in my brain that I haven't thought about in a very long time. So that's pretty cool. I like those
Yeah,
connections.
I think that's Melody Time. I'm not 100% sure,
Yeah, well,
but
we'll double check it. Even if not, I mean, it's still a cool fact to look up to and stuff like that. But
yeah.
yeah, thanks for sharing that, man. And yeah, once again, yeah, make sure we really thank you all so much for listening. We thank Jeff for spending his time with us and sharing just such incredible stories and emotions and just sharing his love for the Goofy movie. And I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate it. So, and on that note, I hope everyone has a great day and or night and a magical week. And we will see you for Melody Time. Bye, everybody.